Hello and welcome to our video series which sees me, creative head editor Amanda Nottage, chatting to some of the leading Wella creatives from across the industry. I'll be delving into their career paths, their inspirations, their workspaces and anything else that might pop up during our chat. Joining me today is Wella Professionals colour creative Jayson Gray, aka Karbon Kyd. Jayson, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Enjoy yourself. Sit back, relax, because I'm going to delve into various parts of you, your career, your thinking. But where I want to start today is how you actually fell in love with hair. What was it about hair, about colour, that attracted you into hairdressing as a profession?
I think, because we've chatted about this before, that I always wanted to be a chef.
Yes.
And I think the chefing thing evolved into hair somehow.
Okay, talk me through that process. How?
I think when I was about 14, I used to go to the King's Road and I used to walk past, at the time, Tony and Guy. And I don't know, for some reason, I kept being drawn to the images in the window, even though I knew I wanted to be a chef. And I kind of felt that I would work there one day. And kind of further down the line, at 19, I ended up joining Tony and Guy and staying there for 25 years.
Wow.
So that's how I ended up in hair. But I think my sister's friend kind of, she got me more interested in hair by watching her, because she was always doing my sister's hair in the kitchen while I was cooking things. So ironically, going in and specialising in colour, which is something that kind of was never meant to happen, but obviously it was meant to be, because it's like being a chef of colour now.
Okay.
Because of the way I like to work and the
I've seen some of your equipment. There are whisks, there are copper bowls. I mean, you really take it seriously.
So I kind of do everything backwards. But I don't, for some reason, that works for me. And I like the idea that some architects actually work with reflection. To see how something would work balance-wise. So I think that kind of inspired me somewhere along the line many years ago.
Fantastic. In terms of inspiration, who would you say has been your greatest mentor and why?
Probably early days would have been a woman called Brenda Mayle. She was general manager of Tony and Guy for forever. She's no longer with us, unfortunately, but she was a very powerful woman. She was very honest, told you what she thought.
Right.
So if she, you know, she said something nice about you, you know she meant it, because that's kind of how she was. So she's the first person that saw something in me about being a colourist.
Do you remember that moment?
I remember that specifically, being 19 and sitting with her in an office in Davis Street and telling her how much I wanted to be on an art team and I wanted to be at the front. She was like, slow down. I was like, yeah, but that's what I want. She was like, yeah, but I'm going to recommend something for you. I would like to see you specialise in colour. And I was like, why? And she was like, because of all this training stuff you've done, and there's a good opportunity there, and I think it will suit you. And then lo and behold, that's what I did, and that's what I do.
Back in the day, sitting there with Brenda saying, I want to be on the art team.
Yeah.
A big part often of being part of an art team is obviously being on stage and presenting. Was that something that came naturally to you? Is there a particular secret to being on stage and doing a good job?
You know, wanting to be a chef, but then loving theatre, musical theatre,
right,
which I did loads of at school. So obviously it was kind of like, can you tell? You know?
I would never have guessed.
No, it's just the whole thing about presenting to people and like being there and doing something and giving something back, but enjoying it. And then if you chuck in a few tracks and a bit of dancing and a bit of can-can, then it's kind of like sums up everything I want to do.
Is there a secret to kind of engaging an audience? If someone's watching today, desperate.
Yeah, I think you've got to get their attention in the first 5 minutes.
First 5 minutes, okay.
If you don't, it's much harder. So I think you've got to use what you have naturally to wow them, whether it be that you do cartwheels or jazz hands. I tend to mention the fact that I'm deaf.
Right.
Because I think that then kind of makes me feel a bit more connected.
Okay. Have you had just the most awful experience on stage? Can you think back to a show that just everything went wrong, or the audience just didn't
Nothing
feel?
ever goes wrong. If it goes wrong, you cover it up. No. I can think of two funny experiences. One, there was in Spain, it was actually with Wella, and we cast a model which we wasn't sure about using, but we made her up a little bit, and she looked really good, so we thought we'll go with it. But she had about 1,000 different products in her hair, and when we went on stage and was colouring her hair, it kind of started smoking, but not in a bad way, but obviously from the studio, audience perspective, it's kind of like what's going on. But it turns out something was reacting in her hair. So as we were talking like this and trying to get rid of the smoke so no one could see her, and then kind of like elegantly pushed her off the stage. So that was one. And then another time in Italy, we didn't realise that where the curtains stopped, there was no more stage. So the classic one, if you put your trolley there and you move it to the side, and before you've even started, the whole trolley goes out. You try to catch it and grab the curtain and realise there's no stage there and fall backwards. So that's happened.
Is there one thing that you wish 2019 Jayson could get in a time machine and travel back to young Jayson and share with him? This is the one thing I wish I'd known when I started out.
Yeah, because I would have bought a lottery ticket, gone back and say, get those numbers. No, I'd like to go back and watch myself.
Okay.
Maybe push or prompt myself somewhere, but I wouldn't never say anything.
Okay.
Because I think it would, ruin the future. And also, I've learnt from my mistakes, so not that I've got any mistakes.
No, you're perfect, Jayson. We've already established that. But if you weren't perfect, what would you say has been the biggest learning curve from a mistake, or just something you've been through where you've thought, right, yeah, not doing that again?
Yeah, I think trying things that you're told not to do.
Okay.
Like, you can't use this that way, so I will use it that way, because then you know both sides.
Right.
So I think that's how I kind of learn. So I used to test everything on myself when I used to bleach my hair, like 60 volume, and do all the things you're not told not to do, because I wanted to see how far I could push it.
Right.
So I will test on myself.
One thing that has had such an incredible impact, I think, on modern hairdressing, and particularly, I think, colour and the interest that consumers really have in colour at the moment, obviously, is social media. For you, how do you feel about its role in the industry today? Is it your BFF, or is it something that actually sometimes it can get in the way?
I think there was always, years ago, people would have like articles from the newspaper they would bring in. Well, you can't do this, you can't do that. And it's like, now it's every day. There's always something. And now when someone comes in for consultation, they've got a Pinterest board with 856 pictures of the same hairstyle. And they're normally really dark, and it's a picture of a Nordic girl with blue eyes and stuff. And you're like, did you not kind of realise that that's not your hair type? So I think we're learning that that's expecting that's going to happen. Whereas before we used to take the picture off, then rip it up and get rid of it and say, right, start again. But you can't, because you can't pick their iPad up and smash it against the wall. Say, right, forget that. So I think it can kind of go both ways. Expectation is a little bit more unreal now. Yes. Because everything's Photoshop, isn't it? Right, to a certain degree.
Now, in fashion and in culture, we're seeing a real movement at the moment in terms of true diversity, I think. We're seeing such a great mix of hair types being celebrated. Is that a really exciting thing for you at the moment as a colourist, that there's so many different canvases to be working with and to express your art on?
Yeah, I think there's a lot more underground than there is on the surface at the moment, because there seems to be that celebrity thing which always of like tongue balayage hair basically, which kind of like, okay, move over, darken, get rid of those eyebrows, you know, like let's see some hair being cut off. And there is people popping up, but it'd be nice to see more textured hair. It's nice to see that hair was being lobbed off recently. But it'd be nice to see more kind of 70s influences and stuff, which are kind of bubbling away.
Is that your favourite kind of era to...
It is in the summer.
Right.
Because I was born in the 70s. So, yeah, I like that kind of like big sideburns and flicky hair in the summer and stuff. But yeah, on girls, I think it's nice to have like a load of shaggy haircuts. And I actually do love at the moment things that reflect the 70s. So kind of a bit Technicolor, but 70s bleached out. So more sandy rouges, blues and stuff. So you know that real kind of like denim against kind of suede and stuff. And I think it'd be nice to see him move away, strangely, from a lot of pastel.
Right.
Because it'd be nice to see colour again. It'd be nice to see browns in hair and stuff, opposed to having to bleach everything. Now
we're seeing a bit of a crisis at the moment in terms of attracting young talent into hairdressing, particularly school leavers. What would you recommend we look at, suggest we do to help show just how diverse, exciting and rewarding hairdressing can be?
They're kind of like social media. Everyone wants to be a social media star, but they kind of think that they don't have to do anything to get there.
Right.
So you kind of think you have to have a talent first to be able to do any kind of blogging about it. So I've experienced that recently in the last 3 years with school leavers. I kind of think they need to change the college system. I mean, I come from that background where we had everything in-house, you know, but now it's much more interesting working with colleges. But I think they need to change the way they work. I think it needs to be more apprenticeships.
Right.
Rather than going to college one day a week and then into salon. I think it should be ongoing. So I think it should come from the colleges working more closely with salons.
Okay.
Partnership.
Partnership, like that. Now, you've also talked about working with people from the theatre. What skill do you think you've learned, not from a hairdressing course or a hairdresser, that has put you in really good stead for your career?
I think doing lots of musical theatre at school and stuff, because you always worked with a stage.
Yep.
You know, and you'd have guest people who were actually real actors and stuff. So I think those kind of skills that I learnt then, that like voice projection and whatnot, which when, you know, I was teaching a lot at Tony and Guy, I used to teach voice projection and stuff. So, and me being deaf as well, it kind of helped me even more.
Thinking back over your career, a very diverse bag, what would you say has been the most exhilarating moment you've experienced, all thanks to hairdressing?
One of them's got to be Most Wanted.
I was hoping you were going to say that. A colour expert winner.
Yeah, I just think like that was kind of something that I wanted in my life, and it kind of happened. You kind of like when those moments happen, it's kind of like, did you hear right? Kind of like you don't want to be that person that stands up and someone's like, no, it's not you.
Get down.
Get down. Yeah, it's just a weird experience, but it's a really good experience.
You've been very positive about everything that we've been talking about here, but I want to know, is there anything that infuriates you about modern hairdressing? Anything you would change? If you had a magic wand, Jayson, what would you change?
Well, one of the things would be that whole expectation thing from what people put on social media.
Yeah.
Of coming in and going, oh, but she's got it. And you're like, you know, like you say, I think that if we could kind of tame that or get rid of it some way, make people more realistic to what's happening, you know, like if you've got really black hair, it's not going to be white in half an hour in your lunch break, you know, but people seem to think that. So it'd be nice to kind of educate people a bit more that it's going to take 2 days. Stuff. So that would probably be my main thing. So yeah, I think though with all the kind of new innovations and stuff that are out, it's kind of making it easier, but it's just more expectation from clients. Yeah.
Fantastic. And what would you say is exciting you about colour in 2019?
Ooh, new stuff that's coming out. New innovations. I tested and worked on some good projects.
Okay.
One of them was taken 8 years
Wow.
to come around. And that's just been released. That's with the new Wella KP Me, which I like. You know, I think it's got every favourite shade in there. And then where that's going, I think is exciting because of the technology.
Okay.
So I'm kind of really into the science thing as well.
You like to get stuck in the labs.
Yeah, like I'd like to do more of that actually.
Okay. Jayson Gray, Karbon Kyd, thank you so much for joining me today for this little chin wag.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Always.
Always.